I never thought changing my Wi-Fi password would lead to a police raid on my house, but that's exactly what happened in the peaceful suburban bubble of Oak Haven Estates. My name is Ethan Bell, and I'm a remote software architect. I moved here for the quiet, for the manicured lawns, for the kind of peace that lets you focus on code, not on city noise. The problem wasn't the city, it was Constance Sterling, the HOA president. Picture this, a woman in her late 50s, with a perfectly tailored blazer and a clipboard, who ran Oak Haven like a medieval fiefdom. She was the kind of HOA president who'd send you a certified letter because your garage door was half an inch too close to non-compliant beige. Most neighbors just paid the fines or smiled and waved. We called it the Oak Haven tax, just to avoid her icy glare. I figured if I kept my head down, I'd be safe. I was dead wrong. The trouble started last month, slowly, subtly. My internet connection, usually rock solid, began choking, dropping packets, buffering on calls. At first, I blamed the provider, but after running a deep diagnostic, I found the culprit. An unknown device, labeled simply OHE utility, was permanently latched onto my network. I'm talking hundreds of gigs a week, just draining my personal bandwidth. Someone was treating my private home connection like a public water fountain. I didn't get angry. I got technical. I decided on a simple, satisfying fix. I booted them. I changed my password, a complicated 20-digit monstrosity, and just for a little joke, I renamed my network, Get Your Own Dim Wi-Fi, Constance. I made myself a coffee and chuckled, feeling a small, petty victory. By 10 a.m., my front door was shaking. It was Constance. She didn't knock. She banged, clutching her HOA binder like a shield, and her face was a masterpiece of crimson rage. "Mr. Bell," she shrieked, her voice cutting through the morning quiet. "What have you done to the community surveillance grid?" I blinked. "My Wi-Fi. Your tampering," she spat, "has shut down our neighborhood's safety feed. You are interfering with our digital infrastructure, a clear violation of Section 7A, Cooperative Connectivity." I leaned against my doorframe, trying not to laugh. "Constance, that clause is about maintaining the irrigation sprinklers, not stealing my broadband. You were freeloading." That's when her mask totally dropped. She whipped out her phone, dialed 911, and started screaming into the receiver. Not shouting, screaming, that I was a dangerous hacker, a terrorist threatening essential community communications. I thought it was hilarious until the blue and red lights started flashing through my living room window. Two officers stepped out, a weary, older sergeant named Reed and a young patrolman, Miller, who already looked tired of the whole thing. Constance rushed them, pointing wildly at my house. "He disabled the entire grid. This man is a threat." Sergeant Reed looked at me, fighting a visible smirk. "Sir, we got a call about Wi-Fi tampering." I spread my hands. "You're welcome to come in, officer." The dangerous weapon I used is sitting right next to my desk. Inside, I show them my router. Sergeant Reed squatted down, scanning the device logs. His eyebrows practically hit his hairline. "Well, I'll be," he muttered, pointing at the screen. "You've got an active connection attempt here from a server labeled Oak Haven Central Command. It's still trying to connect remotely." Officer Miller leaned in, suddenly serious. "It looks like someone is still trying to access your network from the HOA clubhouse terminal." The mood shifted instantly, the air thick with something heavier than HOA drama. Sergeant Reed looked at me, then back at the door where Constance was still pacing and ranting to a small crowd of neighbors. "Mr. Bell," he asked quietly, "would you be willing to come with us to the clubhouse? We need to verify this setup." We walked out past Constance, who was demanding my immediate arrest. Sergeant Reed cut her off, his voice firm. "Mrs. Sterling, we've found evidence that the HOA office is still attempting unauthorized access to Mr. Bell's private network. We need to inspect your systems." Her jaw went slack. You can't just march into private HOA property. This is a violation of HOA sovereignty." Officer Miller bit the inside of his cheek to keep from laughing. Reed didn't argue. He got on his radio and requested a search warrant. Within an hour, more patrol cars and a county cybercrime unit showed up. The neighborhood was in a full-blown frenzy. Neighbors had pulled out lawn chairs, and the local news was already en route, thanks to Mrs. Pennyworth across the street live streaming the whole thing. When Sergeant Reed returned with the signed warrant, the defiance drained out of Constance. They marched straight to the clubhouse, and behind a locked door labeled "Authorized Personnel Only," they found it. The air conditioning unit was struggling to keep up with the heat generated by rows of monitors and humming servers. It wasn't a utility room. It was a surveillance center. On those screens, I saw dozens of live feeds, mailboxes, driveways, patios, and then my blood ran cold. There was a camera pointed directly through my sunroom window, showing my desk, my laptop, my life. Another feed showed Mrs. Pennyworth's kitchen, clear as day. Officer Miller let out a low whistle. "Holy smokes, this is insane." Sergeant Reed's face was stone. "Mrs. Sterling," he said, his voice deadly quiet, "were you monitoring inside people's homes?" Ella stammered. It's a safety initiative. We monitor for suspicious activity." I stepped closer to the screen showing my house. "Voluntary, huh?" I asked, looking her dead in the eye. "You routed all this footage through my Wi-Fi to mask your own signal. You didn't do this for safety, Constance. You did it for control." For the first time, she had no answer. The police began seizing hard drives and servers, tagging everything as evidence. Later, the cybercrime agent, Rowe, explained the terrifying extent of it. Ella had been recording for almost a year, using my router as a proxy, and had files filled with personalized notes when neighbors left for work, who visited, who was non-compliant, all stored on a private cloud. She hadn't just been watching, she was building dossiers. The fallout was immediate. Ella was charged with multiple felonies, including unauthorized surveillance and electronic intrusion. At the courthouse months later, I testified. Her lawyer tried to paint me as an attention seeker, but the prosecutor shut him down by projecting one of Ella's internal emails onto the wall. "If residents won't obey the rules, I'll make sure they do. Cameras don't lie, and neither do routers." The court found her guilty. She was banned from all HOA activities for life and hit with a crushing settlement from the class action lawsuit the neighbors filed. Justice was served, not with jail time, but with the utter public destruction of her power and reputation. The best part? The neighborhood changed. The old, scared board dissolved. The vice president, a nice guy named Tom, begged me to serve as the new permanent technology advisor. I agreed, but only on one condition: total, absolute transparency. No hidden cameras, no shared networks. The very first thing we did was rename the guest Wi-Fi network at the clubhouse. We called it Trust But Verify. I look back now, sitting on my porch, enjoying the genuine, honest quiet of Oak Haven Estates. My router is secure, my camera is taped over, and the air is free of that nervous tension. It's funny how a simple decision, a password change, can unravel an entire web of deceit. It wasn't about revenge. It was about protecting a boundary. Because in the end, that's what this entire ordeal taught me. Power doesn't corrupt overnight. It creeps in quietly, disguised as responsibility, until one person dares to question it. So, here's the question I want to leave you with. Have you ever had a situation where standing your ground on a small thing, a fence line, a parking spot, a Wi-Fi password, exposed a much bigger, uglier truth in your community? Let me know in the comments below. What did you do, and what was the consequence? And don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories about what happens when you fight back against HOA tyranny. Thanks for watching.